Welcome to the International Space Training Center. You're here today to train for the greatest adventure in the history of mankind, the exploration of deep space.
Come on, baby, let's exercise. Come on, baby, let's exercise.
Hello there. So glad you could come along. I am the Dream Finder.
WDW Radio, your information station. Hello, my friend, and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I am your host, Lou Mongello, and this is show number 577, and I'm here once again not only to help you have the best possible Disney vacation experience, but I also want to bring you a little bit of Disney magic wherever you are with the podcast, my live video broadcast on Facebook every Wednesday night, videos, blog, special events, and more. Whether it's your first time visiting the parks or you've been hundreds of times, whether you're planning a vacation or just love the history, details, secrets, and stories, there's something in the show for you, because each week I'm going to take you from the parks to the screens and everything in between. If you're a new listener, thank you for being here. Welcome. Please go back, check out some or all the past episodes for interviews, top 10s, reviews, and more. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes and find everything else over at www.radio.com. So with more than 30 different resorts on property, Walt Disney World has a place to stay, play, and dine for every budget, theme, and kind of immersive experience. And with so many options to choose from, we're going to look at the top 10 Walt Disney World resorts. Beyond just why you should stay in a Walt Disney World resort, we'll explore not just the most luxurious or expensive, but we'll take into account other factors including location, theming, dining options, amenities, activities, room types and decor, cost, nostalgia, and more. And of course, I'll ask you to share your favorite resorts and why. I'll then announce the winner of last week's $100 Disney gift card giveaway and share how you can not only help spread the word, but enter for a chance to win another $100 in Disney gift cards this week. Then stay tuned to the end of the show. We'll all have more information about upcoming WDW Radio events, our next meet of the month during the Disney Princess Half Marathon weekend, a very special location for this week's WDW Radio live show on Wednesday, your voicemails, and more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. When Walt Disney World opened on October 1st, 1971, there were two, count them, two properties that guests could stay at: Disney's Contemporary Resort and Disney's Polynesian Resort. Fort Wilderness didn't open until November 19th. Today, there's about 35 different resorts and hotels, 29 of which I believe are official Walt Disney World properties, and they range from the budget-friendly to intimate to opulent, from theming from the whimsical to the grandiose and everything in between. And no matter where you choose, you are uniquely immersed in not just the Disney bubble, but really the Disney experience. And that starts not when you first step foot in the door at your resort, but even before, when you board your Magical Express, or even when you start planning your vacation online and in-app. And each Walt Disney World resort comes with built-in perks that are sort of icing on the oh-so-very delicious cake, including magic bands, free, count it, free transportation, exclusive early morning access, fast pass. The list goes on and on. But with so many choices, it also can be overwhelming. Like, where do we stay? What room type? What view? What theme? What category? Where do we eat first? Etc., etc., etc. And so to help you wade through the myriad of wonderful options, we're going to look, I can't believe, for the first time ever, at our top 10 Walt Disney World resorts. And you know that when you hear top 10, you know it's probably not a top 10, but that fun times are ahead. And when you open up your dictionary and turn to the page with fun times on it, you'll find the name and picture of little Timmy Foster from Celebrations Magazine, because he's the only guy who's still using a paper dictionary. So, Timmy Foster, it is so good to see you again. Ish.
Thanks, buddy. I'm in the dictionary. I love it.
You're in the dictionary. There's a lot of things that'll be like, see Tim Foster.
I thought I was under Bananas Foster, but that's
you're under.
That's
Yes,
your
I think
fault.
I think there's a lot of cross referencing going on in your dictionary. But for this top 10 ish, I also think that there are so many differing opinions and factors that could play a part in determining what I think is a very subjective top 10 list. So I decided to invite a few other friends to join in this, I guess it's not the first ever, but it's a top 10 roundtable discussion. I am still a person who believes in ladies first. Chivalry will never be dead in the Mangella household. I want to welcome back to the show Susanna Otis from Xanaland.com.
Hello, it's great to be here again.
You may remember Xanaland from such shows. I remember sitting out at the Trader Sam's Lanai in the shadows of the great ceremonial house with the waterfalls behind us, talking about something Polynesian related.
Yes, that was one of my favorites. I can't remember the topic either, but I know we had something to drink. So
Obviously, Susanna had multiple drinks because she can't even remember the topic. I don't remember either, but I think it was maybe after the Polynesian had reopened,
I think
after
so.
some of the updates.
It might have just been Trader Sam's.
It could have been.
Maybe.
It could have
I'm
been. Yeah,
not
you sampled many things on the menu. So, but it was a fun time. And if I was better prepared, I would have that show number ready. But I'm not. But I think you've also been on other shows and live broadcasts and things like that in
I have
the
indeed,
past.
yes.
Also coming back to the show is a person. He's a marvelous friend, and that would marvel. It was very deliberate. He is Scott Atwood from the Main Street Mouse.
Yes, thank you, Lou, for having me back.
You may remember Scott from such shows as the Marvel Day at Sea review, I believe.
And I think that was the only one.
Gosh, that was a good time. That was a good. I mean, it was the
that
first
was my
one.
favorite
Don't call
show, by the way.
Thank you, Tim.
don't call it the only one. You got to call it the first one.
First
So-
of many. How about that?
Well, and part of the reason why I wanted you guys to come and join me was, I invited what's Kermit said. I invited dignitaries from around the world. Unfortunately, none of them showed up. But we all recently toured some Walt Disney World resorts. And I think it was at that time that as we were going around and seeing some resorts that I hadn't been to in a long time, that had I not done a top 10, Tim, have we literally never done a top 10 resorts in Walt Disney World?
I think we've done variations on the theme.
But not sort of
Like-
just the best
No,
of the
just
best.
by themselves. Name 10 resorts. No, I don't think we've done. I think we've done, I think we've done Christmas and, favorite cuddle places. Did we
Wait.
do that? I don't know if we did that. But no, and you told me just name 10 resorts. So I am ready to go with this one.
And Tim is once again incredibly well prepared.
Well, very well prepared. And I guess from what you said earlier, you invited dignitaries and important people around the world. So I
Yes.
feel really dumb that I guess I had an out for this and I didn't take it. So here I am. So, but I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you here. And look,
Better
when
way to spend
and they
Saturday
get
night, full confession, everybody. I
What
have
do you
nothing
con-
else to do.
what are you confessing?
That is Saturday night at around 8 o'clock. And
It's way past your bedtime. I understand. So,
Oh,
but look, again, to all of you, again, Tim and I don't really talk about these ahead of time, which he loves. But when I said top 10, I was trying to be clear to everybody. I don't necessarily mean, excuse me, the most expensive, most luxurious, but I think there's a lot of other elements that, there are factors in coming up with this top 10 list, including location, theming, dining options, amenities, activities, room types, decor, cost. I'm going to mention dining options again because it really is that important, etc., etc. And I wanted to bring on additional voices too, because I know you guys have not only visited but have stayed at a lot of, if not all, the Walt Disney resorts on property. I can say I've actually stayed everywhere on property at least once, other than Shades of Green. It's the only one that I have not stayed at. Although we talked about it on the Walt Disney World from a military perspective back on show 108. It was a long time ago. But I really, really want to stay there so I can complete it and eat at Mangino's, which will complete my entire checklist of eating at every single dining location in Walt Disney World. But I know that I think we all have personal favorites and individual factors that may be more important to us than other people. So I think the more voices on this one, the better, right? And there's no right, there's no wrong answer, because I think different resorts are interesting to different people for different reasons. Some are beloved due to a sense of nostalgia or emotion or memories. Others for more practical reasons like cost and location and access and, even availability. And I think choosing the resort is such an important part of the vacation planning experience. Dare I say, almost, if not more than even your fast passes and your ADRs. So I want to start off with a question for you guys, which I know normally makes Tim very, very concerned. When we talk about going to Walt Disney World and staying, a lot of people, and I'm sure you guys get the question too, all of you, about staying on property versus off site. I think, when Walt Disney World introduced the value resort category many years ago, it became a little bit harder to justify, especially with all of the on-property advantages. Although I think places like Disney Springs and the Good Neighbor hotels and what they offer make them an option as well. Have you guys stayed at some of the off-property or Disney Springs hotels, or those things that sometimes you either go to or recommend to people?
I definitely have. I've stayed at a few just to tour them and see what they have to offer. And then, just sometimes out of necessity, if you need a place to stay and price is a factor, sometimes there are some better deals on the Disney Springs and the surrounding area hotels. But as far as theming and being immersed in where you want to be, I don't think Disney can be beat.
No, I agree with Suzanne on that. We've stayed at a couple of the Disney Springs hotels, and they're fine to just stay at, but there's really nothing that makes them Disney-esque. To me, it's you lose the magic of Disney there. You get a lot of the amenities, but not everything, and it's just it doesn't feel like you're at Disney necessarily when you're there. To me.
Tim, have you ever stayed in any of the Disney Springs hotels or Bonnet Creek or even some of the Gateway hotels?
Other hotels there? That's cool. No, I've one time I stayed at Disney, downtown Disney at the time. Hilton, I think it was, but I have stayed off property a few times. In fact, Lou, I'm coming down. Actually, I don't know where you are, if you're in Florida or Europe or Hong Kong right now, but I am coming down in another week or so. So for real, let's hang out. And I'm staying off property, full confessional.
And to be clear, Tim ensures that his trips do always overlap when I am traveling somewhere out of the state. So the day you arrive
you're not going to be there.
Of course I'm not going to be here.
Ah, fantastic. There goes my boathouse dinner. Yeah.
And we would have done the boathouse thing the right way, I promise you.
Uh-huh. Now, I've stayed off site a few times. The lack of Disney theming it's a trade-off. The Disney theming, fully immersed. I got to admit, these days there is a big difference in cost and availability, especially now because Disney seems more crowded than ever all throughout the year. Well done, Disney, but kind of makes it hard to plan that trip out ahead of time when everything is booked up. Although I've since learned maybe don't time your trips when the cheerleader football teams are all descending upon Disney World for their trips. That's what I ran into this time. The one piece of Disney theming I know I always miss if I'm staying off property is that ride on the Magic Bus from the Orlando airport. I don't get to see the cartoons, and I'm very sad.
Yeah, I mean, I've stayed.
I was hoping for more of a sympathetic reaction than awe, but
I've actually never been on one.
You've never been on a Magical
Disney
Express?
No, because I'm here, so I haven't had to come back to here.
Well, go to Tennessee, get on a plane, come down.
Okay.
But whatever.
So
I've never
I've
been on one
stayed, again, I have stayed over the years, especially when I lived in New Jersey and I was traveling down a lot. You know, for me, I didn't need the theming. I didn't even need the location. I just needed a place to stay. So it was a great opportunity / excuse for me to stay at some of the official hotels. And they are official hotels in the Disney Springs area, even at Bonnet Creek. The Swan and Dolphin, you can sort of classify however you want. I mean, technically, they're not owned by Walt Disney World, although they are sort of right in the quote-unquote middle of the magic. I will still say I still believe that they may have the most comfortable beds on property. Those Westin Heavenly beds are to die for, and Blue Zoo is right downstairs. However, again, depending on when you go and availability and timing, the value resort hotels can start as low as $99 a night, and then obviously going up to things like deluxe villas, you're in a very different room category. And then certainly even with things like Four Seasons, which, again, not an official Walt Disney World resort, but technically it is on or within the confines of property. So there's a lot of different things that play into consideration here. Susanna, while I still believe in ladies first, I always have to start with little Timmy Foster. So Tim,
no, I wanted to go.
Understandable.
No, I defer.
No, I know you don't want to go first.
I defer till the second
I can't
half.
mess up the streak,
Tim, the fact that you don't want to go, have you not learned? The fact that you don't want to go first is exactly why I want you to go first. So I want you to give us, and here comes the go with me here. I know.
No, yeah, go. Well, no, because I whatever rudimentary list I came up with, I feel I was going to lead off with the Swan and the Dolphin, and I feel like you knocked that off.
I was including
it.
I
got nothing.
So
all right. If you're going to make me go first, I'll go away from the Swan and Dolphin if it's that horrific.
No. Listen, I said I love the Swan.
I don't want to upset you. I know it's a comfortable place. I know it's got your food.
I just said I love the Swan and Dolphin. It's in. I have to mute Tim Foster. Wait, resort. I love the Swan and Dolphin. It's in the middle of the magic, and it has Blue Zoo and the fountain and the Bloody Marys at the Dolphin Bar on Sunday mornings, and you can walk to Epcot and walk to Hollywood Studios and the wonderful world of Batuu. So now I'm going to unmute Timmy Foster.
So that's how it goes. Okay. So not only did you try to knock it out of contention, you put it back in contention, and then you stole it from me. About everything. So let's take a quick down towards the International Gateway, because I'm going to go to the Yacht Club, which is my favorite resort at Walt Disney World. And I'm going to see, there's more people here. I can't cheat as badly as I normally do. Because I would put the Yacht and Beach Club together. But
you can put them together. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so the Yacht Club / Beach Club, I love it for a multitude of reasons, not the least of which the Beach Club is home to unless this has changed recently, the closest resort room to an entrance to any Walt Disney park.
1501.
Yeah, I actually took a picture of the door. I know that sounds creepy, but I have it. I was kind of worried if there was somebody in there wondering what this creepy guy was doing to take a picture of my door. But it's very close to Epcot, right near my favorite place in all of Walt Disney World, the walkway that goes underneath the bridge that leads to Epcot. But the entire resort, the fact that it's all interconnected, you can walk all the way through. get to see that subtle shift of theming between the beach club and the yacht club as you wander by. Stormalong Bay, probably one of the, if not the best pool in all of Walt Disney World at the resorts. Some of the best restaurants, and the theming of both the resorts is beautiful. I will say I like the yacht club a little bit more. The yacht club though is a little bit farther, bit more of a walk, which was a lot easier 20 years ago than it is today, I will confess. But there is nothing like on a typical February. What is it today, Lou? Like 96 degrees down there?
Just about.
94?
Just about.
Just
Yeah,
about.
winter lasted about 4 days.
So yeah, there's the one nice thing I like about the yacht club. This speaks nothing to the amenities of the yacht club, is the ability from, if you're at the far end of the yacht club, you can walk all the way through to the door by the aforementioned closest room to a Walt Disney World resort in air-conditioned comfort before you have to go out into that wonderful Florida weather for a short little jaunt over to the International Gateway, where I immediately go into the shop to cool down because that was too much even for me to handle. But again, the theming of both resorts is absolutely beautiful and ties in with the boardwalk and everything else that goes on around at Epcot. And I think we talked about this before, I'm finally here at Walt Disney World moments occurred at the yacht club. It's the moment when you arrive at Walt Disney World and you realize the whole world just melted away and I'm here. And it was when I went through the yacht club, through the front, checked in, went out the back. It was in the morning. I'm looking out over Crescent Lake. There's nobody there. And this is my happy place at Walt Disney World. And I just had that thought, I'm home. And we can get that so many places at Walt Disney World. For me, it happens at the yacht club. And there's so much to talk about. I think I've talked about taking my shoes off and walking up the inclined ramp by the yacht club store, so I won't bring that up again because it's kind of a weird story. So that's my Yacht Beach Club love. We can all pile on and say what you like about it.
So first things first, I think the title of your autobiography should be "It's Kind of a Weird Story," because many of your stories start with that line. Susanna and Scott, was yacht and or beach club on your list, and if so, why?
Definitely. I'll just go, I guess. It was on there for me, primarily beach club. I've stayed at yacht club once, probably for like a mom's panel thing, but I've only stayed like with family at beach club. So that's like my favorite of the two. For all the reasons that Tim mentioned, the location, the atmosphere, it's very serene and relaxing. The views, even if, you're just hanging out on the grounds, I think there's so much to look at. Seeing the boardwalk across Crescent Lake is always beautiful, especially at night. The ability to walk to Epcot, take a boat to Studios, and now, of course, with the Skyliner station, you can Skyliner over to the Studios as well. The pool, I think I said already, fireworks views, if you want to cross over to the boardwalk. So yeah, I think it's a great choice for a central location and lots of amenities.
I honestly have never stayed there at either one of them. I actually had never toured it till we did it just a couple weeks ago, so I never got to see what they had to offer. But I was impressed by it. It is not on my list, I will say that. Because I hadn't stayed there or even had visited somebody I knew was staying there, I didn't put it on my list. But I definitely, from hearing what you've all said, though, I would like to go and check it out more and learn more about the property and what there is to offer there.
So beach club,
got to go. We're all going.
Right. I think we should do a weekend getaway.
Who's paying?
The presidential suite is fine, I think.
What was that one room we saw? The
turret suite. Yeah,
the turret suite
at the yacht club. Yeah, that's usually where Tim stays. That's sort of the way Tim rolls.
In fact, I think I left something there under the. If you're there, I think my slippers are.
Yeah, it was a 2-bedroom. I mean, it really was basically an apartment with a sitting room at the turret that overlooked the promenade that sort of walks into Yacht Club, as well as the water outside and the pool area. It was beautiful. Of the two, I really separated them out, and for me, Beach Club is the one that I prefer. There's something charming and elegant, yet still warm and comfortable about that New England style theming. Again, it's not just location and proximity to Epcot. I love being on Crescent Lake. You can take boats out on Crescent Lake. Breathless, How I Miss You So. If you guys remember, Breathless was that 29-foot mahogany boat that you used to be able to take out and go on to Crescent Lake. There's now the new, the recently updated Beaches and Cream, Cape May Cafe, Martha's Vineyard Lounge. I mentioned Cape May Cafe for breakfast and dinner. I prefer it a little bit more over Yacht Club. It's just a personal preference in terms of theming, although I do give Yacht Club a lot of love for their dining options as well. And I'm certainly talking about the Yachtsman Steakhouse. One of, although possibly not the very best steaks on property. I think Storm... Go ahead.
No, I have a foodie thing about Yacht Club I forgot to mention, but talk about the pool.
No, I mean, obviously Storm Alarm Bay...
Tell the story about your Daffy Duck inner tube when you got... Or Daffy Duck, I'm sorry. Oh my God. Your Donald Duck inner tube and when you got stuck under the bridge and how everyone had to come.
I don't remember.
I love that story.
Somebody else. But I think Stormalong Bay is, a mini water park in and of itself. And when we toured last week, I didn't even realize that they have little cabanas with access. You have access to the menus of Hurricane Hannah's, and there's a little refrigerator there. I've never actually stayed in one, but they looked lovely from a distance. But again, when we're talking about places to stay, I'm thinking about not just a place to lay your head down and take a shower, but places that, especially if you're going to invest. It's a deluxe resort, so the cost of a room is going to be higher. If you're going to invest that kind of money in a resort, I want to make sure it has some of the amenities that I would look for to justify maybe taking a day outside the parks. And again, I'm hesitant to give pricing because it does sort of fluctuate based on time of year and when you choose to go. And obviously things like, the Newport Presidential Suite is going to run you a little bit more than a standard view, room, which can start in the few $100s. And the Presidential Suite, I think, will probably start around $2,000, $2,200 or so a night. So, hey, kids, if we're staying there, you're not going anywhere. We're spending the entire night in the room. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Beach Club, I think, without a doubt, definitely on everybody's list. So let's move on. Susanna, you are next with whatever was on. Don't let the pressure get to you like it did Tim. You got this.
Well, I will preface this because you're talking about staying there, not necessarily for a place to lay your head, but, everything else about it as well. So as a local, I kind of view the resorts a little differently. We do staycations every now and then, but we do a lot more just going to have dinner somewhere or having breakfast somewhere. So a lot of my choices, I have stayed at most of them. I think Caribbean Beach is the only one I haven't stayed at, which is not on my list. But I mostly choose them for just the atmosphere and like the fun of hanging out there, like the enjoyment of that. So that said, top on my list is Wilderness Lodge.
Atta girl.
Just because when you walk in, instantly the smell, it's soaring above you. So the sights, the smells, the sounds, there's the music swelling around you, and you instantly smell just the lobby smell, but also Whispering Canyon is right there, and you can hear the fun going on at Whispering Canyon when you walk in. You can see and hear the bubbling water at the far side of the lobby and see the trees and the waterfalls beyond, and it's just a whole oasis, if you will, in the woods, and I love it.
Tim, Scott, was Wilderness Lodge on your list?
It was on mine, actually, for a lot of the same reasons as what Susanna said. I love being in the wooded area. I think that's such a break from what normal resorts offer, and I really enjoy whenever we go to the lodge, just walking in there in that lobby, how large it is, especially at Christmas, to walk in there and see the Christmas tree. That's just massive. And then, like she said, Whispering Canyon right there. It's one of my favorite places to eat, just because the amount of food they bring you at any given time.
That's why we're friends, wonderful. Just so you know.
That is exactly why we're friends. That's why we did good, and that's why, because you weren't there with us when we ate on the tour last week. I got to eat more because you weren't there to take it from me. But
how'd you pull that off? I need to learn that.
We locked him in a cabin and left him out there.
Oh, I had a speaking thing. I had to go and speak to a group and then hustle back, and I still missed lunch, but that's all right.
He did.
We tried to save you that cake, but
tried to. But we had somebody with us who ate it all.
If you would have brought back a pocketbook full of cornbread, that's all you needed. That's all I would have needed, and maybe a couple of ribs. And
to me, chicken. That's one of the things that makes the Wilderness Lodge so much fun, though, is going there to Whispering Canyon right there. I mean, the rooms are nice. I've toured many different ones. Got to stay once, and I really enjoyed it. But when I go out, the room is just, to me, it's always just a room. I guess I don't really look at it more than it's my place I'm going to sleep. I need room. You know how tall I am, how big I am, and sometimes the beds don't cut it for me.
I feel you, brother. I feel
I know.
Your pain. Yeah.
I don't know how you fit in any of those. You're so tall. I mean, but that's the things I look forward to more when we're going to stay at a resort. I got to make sure they got beds that are large enough that I can actually lay in and not hang off, and that there's enough room in there for us to function as a family and not drive each other nuts after a couple of hours getting in everybody's room. But I thought the Wilderness Lodge, with the room size, everything, it was perfect for us. And there's just so much to do on the property. It just made it enjoyable. Plus, we like to go over to the campground, so there's the walking paths to go over there. Being on the lake, I like that. It's just, to me, it's one of those places I can't not go there enough times.
Timmy Foster, on your list?
Yeah, I guess. Now that probably should have been the top on my list. You just got me all ramped up with the Swan and Dolphin. I thought I'd knock off the Yacht Club. Now, we talked about the Wilderness so much. That's one of the first places we ever stayed, actually. And get this, kids. We went when it first opened, which I don't have Wikipedia right in front of me, so I don't know. 1994? No. 7.
Yeah. May 28th, 1994.
1994. We got a room for $94 in 1994 because It just opened up. So pretty cool. But now that was definitely, like I said, Lou, I think we did our favorite 10 places to cuddle at the resorts, and Wilderness Lodge is definitely number 1.
Not sure if that was the show title. However,
we talked about it.
I have done no less than not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 different shows about Wilderness Lodge. Get your pen and paper ready. Show 31.
Yeah.
I did a DSI, Disney Scene Investigation, with all of and there's an amazing, very fully fleshed out backstory to Wilderness Lodge, and you'll also learn about the totems and the some of the history of some of the naming and the I don't want to sort of give too much away, but even the floor in the lobby and the fireplace, which is magnificent, all have a story behind it. 208, we did another show, a lot about those specific stories and the inspiration for Wilderness Lodge. 212, we did a show just about the Carolwood Pacific Room, formerly known as the Iron Spike Room. Very good. And then on show 296, Susanna, maybe you were the late night dining. We did a live review of Territory Lounge.
Yes, with Glenn.
Oh gosh, I don't remember Glenn.
He's a good guy.
He was. He still is. But I think Wilderness Lodge is very. I know it is. It's very, very, very high on my list. I would argue and could argue. It's why I went to school. That it is the best themed resort on property. Yes, I'm looking at you, Animal Kingdom Lodge. I think it's the best themed resort. I also think it's the place that, for me personally, completely subjectively, it makes it. the way it makes me feel when I go there, especially during the holidays, and that fireplace and the decor. And there's this wonderful warmth about it. Even when it's 176 degrees outside, there's a comfortable warmth inside. I love the dining options, not just Carolwood Pacific. I love me some Geyser Point. Oh, wait, Geyser Point. I forgot about. I did a live review of Geyser Point in show 482. So that's 5 shows about Wilderness Lodge. We had a chance to look at the so very lovely cabins, which I've never stayed at, but is very much on my list. Those Copper Creek cabins and those waterfront villas are just beautiful. And I think those are some of the places that if you want to indulge, if you want to splurge, that might be one of the first places that I would go to. And we can, as we sort of round things up later on, if we were to splurge, where would sort of the splurge be? I think Wilderness Lodge in one of the Copper Creek cabins with that wraparound exterior lanai and the plunge pool and the 2-sided fireplace. And there's something very, especially if you get one of the cabins at the end, there's a sense of solitude that you have there. And you are very much removed, I think, in that resort from the hustle and bustle of Central Florida and Magic Kingdom, although it's, literally just a few minute boat ride away. So Wilderness Lodge, very, 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 very high on my list. So,
and it smells like Spaceship Earth.
Wait, what?
Do I need to explain?
No. Yes.
No, I get it.
She gets it.
Oh, don't encourage him. I mean, I think it smells like Christmas
the burning
and
Rome
forest.
scene
Burning
smells
of
like
Rome.
Whispering Canyon.
The Libraries of Alexandria.
Yeah,
Oh,
come on.
okay.
It's a foodie thing. Here, I'll add one more Wilderness Lodge for everybody out there. Just so you know, there are dark recesses, dark corners of the internet where the name Lou Mongello is whispered in hushed tones. And somewhere,
I'm so frightened.
Somewhere out there lurking is a video, Lou, I hope you remember this, of Lou and myself performing I'm a Little Teapot in the Whispering Canyon.
I know not of what you speak.
No, own up to it. Own up to it. I will never forget it. It's one of my top one. It's my favorite Disney magical moment of all time. Forget the princesses. Forget Mickey Mouse. Arm in arm with you, with your watching Lou singing Here's My Spout. Oh, I'm crying.
I'm going to quickly get off topic and say I still have not tried. Have you guys had the Storybook Dining there?
Wow, did you get off of that story?
No, I have not. I preferred Artist Point, so I'm protesting.
I've heard really good things about it. Like I've heard the food is really good. I heard the character interactions are I heard the Evil Queen is really, really good.
Yeah, I've heard that as well, but
the same. I've never been there yet.
It's a silent protest. Well, if only I could find somebody to go to Artist Point and dine with me there. All right. Before Tim jumps in with some sort of untrue, horrific story about me,
shut up.
Scott, what is your what's one that's on your list?
Well, one of mine, it kind of goes with Fort Wilderness, it is the campground. We've stayed at the cabin at the campground, and I really enjoyed. It was the solitude of it. I mean, you go to your cabin, you drive up there, you have your golf cart to get around all week, but there's so much to do at the property, between all the sporting activities, the horseback riding, the pools, there's just so much that my family was able to find to do there, but you're so close to Disney, like you had said earlier. You can be there in the woods, which reminds me, being from Michigan and in the north, we're used to outdoor woods and things like that. So that takes me back to home, what it was like for me. And just being on the lake and seeing the fireworks at night, hearing I can't even explain it all. Seeing the water pageant is just fantastic. We were there for Michelle's birthday last year, and we stood on the beach. We watched the water pageant go by. We could see the fireworks in the distance at the one point. Just everything you can do there. You don't even realize you're at Disney, honestly. At times you can stay there and spend the whole day on that property, a whole week, and there's so much to do. You go during certain times of year, people decorate their campsites. Christmas and Halloween big time for that. The parades that they do, 4th of July parade, Christmas parade, Halloween parades. there's just a sense of everybody is your neighbors with everybody there and your friends, and everybody just wants to share and have fun together. And I really enjoy it there. Plus the food, Trails End is probably one of my favorite places on property to eat. Everything on that buffet, I like it. Breakfast or the dinner option. Hoop-de-Doo is the longest running show ever, and that's on that property. I like the golf cart. It's just an added bonus to drive around the golf cart property and fly around there. I think it's fun. We didn't get to do the pools when we were there. It was too cold. It was Florida cold. So it was like under 50. But we still had a great time. We've been trying to go back. We just haven't been able to get a good time to go back, but the whole family loved going there. The kids loved it. Michelle and I loved it. We took our dogs, which was great that we could take our dog there. Didn't have to find a sitter to watch them. And they were greeted with their own doggy bag when we got there, bowls and all kinds of surprises for the dogs. So it was a great experience there. And I would recommend going there to anybody just to give it a try.
Xana and Tim, thoughts on the fort?
We're staring at each other. So talk first.
I definitely.
Well,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was deferring to you.
Okay. I definitely had Fort Wilderness on my list. We often go there a lot. We have most birthday celebrations there, at least for, I guess maybe it's just me and Scott, maybe. For me, because my birthday's in December, so we always like to rent a golf cart and then just drive around and see all the decorations. But I love the secluded nature of it. I love the old Florida feel, which is one of the few places that you can still get that, and old Walt Disney World, like the original feel is there. I think that'll change a little bit when they open the new stables, but I am still excited for that. They still have the original, of course, Hoop-de-Doo and Trails End buildings. So, yeah, all the activities, basically everything that Scott just mentioned, we love going there and just taking it all in.
I think I fell off a bike there once. If that counts. One memory I have for Fort Wilderness, I haven't stayed there, but we did go, speaking of the Christmas decorations that people do put up. They are really cool. We managed to do the sleigh ride at Christmas that they run.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, it's old-fashioned fun. You know, it's. I think it was actually cold or rainy that night, so it did feel a little bit like a Northeast winter. But the decorations were cool because it wasn't. We all love the Christmas decorations at Walt Disney World and the Magic Kingdom and all that, but these are, like you said, the decorations that the people staying there putting up on their own. So you had that feeling like you were driving around your neighborhood on Christmas Eve, looking at everybody's Christmas lights, that's a tradition, our family. So that really hit home when we got to experience that. So that was a wonderful thing. But I just enjoyed. I've walked around it many times, staying at the Wilderness Lodge, and you're all right. It's very secluded, peaceful, and it's a great place to go and lose yourself. And like you said, realize there's 20,000 of your closest friends, or however many, just right across the lake. But for all the world, when you're there, it feels like you're truly out in the wilderness, secluded in the heart of nature. It's pretty cool.
So the Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground was not only on my list, I will tell you, it was very, very close to the top of my list. And it's not because it's the place that I personally think of, like that's where I want to stay when I go to Walt Disney World first, but I think it is, I could almost argue that it's the only place that you can go and vacation at the resort and never leave the confines, never leave the four corners of Fort Wilderness and not be bored, not do the same thing every day, and almost not feel as though you need to hop on the nearby boat and take the short trek over to Magic Kingdom. I think there is so much to see and do, and yes, I'm saying it half jokingly, to eat there, that you can have a multi-day adventure and never even realize, other than the level of service, that you're at Walt Disney World, right? And I think sometimes people hear Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground, and they look and they don't see a tower building. They don't look and see, and they say, well, we're not campers. In addition, in the 750 acres or so of pine and cypress and forest that's there, yes, there are places to pitch your own tent and hook up your RV, but there's also cabins that sleep six and have a living room and multiple bedrooms, and there's an outdoor grill and patio. We did the WDW Radio 10th anniversary maybe show and weekend at the fort a few years ago. We had such a good time. Again, I think getting a golf cart there is it's a must do, because just being able to sort of tool around property, because that's the only way you can get to Pioneer Hall. It's the only way you can get to the Meadow or the Wilderness swimming pool. And it's just a lot of fun. And then you can go to the Chippendale campfire at night. If you time your vacation during the 2 holiday seasons, and I don't just mean the Christmas holiday season, but the Halloween holiday season, like, it's reason to go. And we've done this a lot on live shows. We'll rent a golf cart and go live, because the way people decorate their campsites for those 2 holidays are attractions in and of themselves. I would put Fort Wilderness at Christmas time, I know this is somewhat sacrilegious, but it's for fun, almost up against the lights at Osborne Lights at Hollywood Studios for some of the most fun Christmas decorations, because they're created by guests, and some of them are incredibly elaborate, with walking paths and music and Snope and candy canes and all that kind of stuff. I think that if you have pets, I know you were talking about having pets, like you can bring your pets there. There's Hoop-de-Doo, which is not just a fun, like, campy show, but oh so very delicious buckets of chicken and ribs and cornbread. I'm looking at you. There's incredible outdoor activities. I've gone horseback riding. I've done archery. I've taken out watercraft there. I think one of you mentioned Trails End for breakfast or dinner, and then Crockett's Tavern late at night. Mm-hmm. There's stuff for your kids to do. There's the sing-alongs. I mean, it's a place that you can almost circle as its own little mini vacation destination, having nothing to do with any of the theme parks, if that makes any sense. So I think Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground is a unique Walt Disney World resort property. I think it's a must. I think you need to almost try it once. The cabins are lovely. Don't think like, oh, I'm not a camper. You can glamp. You can glamp very easily at Fort Wilderness. And I promise you, especially if you go with a bunch of friends or family, it is a lot of fun. And one day, I keep saying it, one of these days, I'm going to have to get help because I don't know how to do it. But I want to pitch a tent and stay outside because I know that there's a restroom and a shower close by, and Crockett's Tavern if I get hungry. But I do, and I wouldn't do it in the summer, but during those couple of weeks of fall or winter, it might be something fun to do.
Wait, I want to ask everybody, because you just put a couple unsettling images into my head. So
Sorry?
I want to ask everybody around the table, what's more horrifying, the image of Lou Mongello out by himself trying to put up a tent, a canvas flying all over the place, things not going over, or Lou wearing his best Merida wig, armed with a bow and arrow?
No, I can't get either of those out of my head.
I want to go with
You're
you,
welcome.
Tim.
You are welcome, everybody.
Tim, I want you to come with me, and it'll be like the island of Dr. Moreau one night. I'll just send you off, and I'll go hunting you with a bow and arrow.
Someone will get hurt. I will guarantee you.
Oh gosh.
There will be a 911 call, I guarantee.
All right. So if in order to keep this at somewhat a reasonable and rational, I think that you have all given a first go round at a resort. I will.
You're up, buddy. Take 3 of them and out of the running.
I'm gonna. Not only am I gonna take one, but I'm gonna take one where there's an easy opportunity to take 2.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know why you're squealing, but hear me out. And then timing maybe is really everything too, because where this resort is based on is where I am going in just a couple of days. And I have visited when I was a little kid. I went back again a few years ago for a WDW Radio event. We're going back again in a couple of days for another event. And for the very first Disney Cruise Line cruise out of New Orleans. And I will tell you, I will put Disney's Port Orleans Resort French Quarter, a moderate resort, up against toe-to-toe, head-to-head, mano a mano against any other resort in terms of theming, in terms of Walt talked about the blessing of size. I talk about the blessing of size in this resort because it is the smallest Walt Disney World resort in terms of size. It's incredibly intimate, and the decor and the theming with those cobblestone streets and the gas lamps and the wrought iron balconies and the magnolia blossoms, like, it's beautiful. That the romance of the French Quarter, and when I say French Quarter, I mean everything but Bourbon Street. The romance of the French Quarter with some of those little Mardi Gras touches really sort of embodies that antebellum era of New Orleans. I love the jazz music. Scat Cats Club was recently redone, so you can get that, one man. I think sometimes it's a one man. They might still have a duo or three person jazz trio on certain evenings. The horse-drawn carriage rides. Gentlemen, ladies, I'm looking at you. You want to impress your family, a special friend. Take them on a little horse-drawn carriage ride from Port Orleans French Quarter. Like, if you can see me, I'm giving you thumbs up. It's a celebration of New Orleans and Mardi Gras without the hoopla of Mardi Gras. The relatively recently redone counter service, Sassagoula Floatworks and Food Factory. They redid it a few years ago, which was a huge improvement over what was there before. Morning beignets, I'm talking to you. Nighttime jambalaya, I'm seriously looking at you. The only, in the interest of full disclosure, the only potential detractor from it is that it does not have a table service restaurant. However, you are an easy walk, boat ride, carriage ride over from Riverside, where you have Boatwright jambalaya. I'm really looking at you now for a table service meal, and obviously Yeehaw Bob and everything that goes along with that. I think that the pool there is very well themed. There's a lot of great recreation and amenities there as well. Again, the pool is not huge. There's also some fun activities. There's like painting on the bayou, and there's an instructor-led paint class right there. Not that I do it, but for those of you who are into the running thing, there's the Beignet Fun Run, which is a little, I think it's a 3K or a 5K. It's like $10 or $15. And there's beignets at the end. I don't want to run. I don't need the medal. I just want the morning beignets. They do movies under the stars and Cajun campfire activities. There's bike rental. So for this tiny little property, there's a lot of really cool things that you can do. And, oh, by the way, if you upgrade to one of the royal guest rooms, it's a little fancier, and it's themed after one of my favorite Disney movies, Princess and the Frog. A lot of Tiana action going in there as well. It's a little fancier, and I love the tributes to the film as well. So for all those reasons and more, Port Orleans French Quarter, super, super, super high on the Lou Mongello top 10 list.
My takeaway of that, well, hold on. I'm writing cornbread, jambalaya. What was that, beignets?
Beignets, they're Mickey shaped, so they taste even better.
No, I know. This is your birthday list. I'm putting this together.
Aw.
But my takeaway from everything you said was that you're taking me on a carriage ride at Port Orleans.
Tim Foster, wait a minute. You come down here My hand
I
to
am
God.
coming down here.
Well, wait, let me rephrase that. You come down here when I'm actually
you're there.
here.
Yeah,
We
well.
will spend the day together at Port Orleans. We'll live stream it. We'll do a meetup there. We'll have breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, late night cocktails, room service, whatever you need. We will spend an entire day together at Port Orleans.
Can we get
French Quarter.
beignets on the carriage ride? Do they let you do that?
Even if they don't, I'm sure I can sneak them on board.
Wow. That's why you're my hero.
Anybody else, Scott or Susanna, was it on your
I
list?
took
Have
a
you
turn off the cliff.
I definitely had it on my list for sure.
Yeah, I did too.
For all the reasons that you mentioned, it's such a wonderful. It's one of the places that I stayed right after it opened, right after graduating high school, I think, and they like just the theming of the New Orleans style buildings and everything, the main lobby area. I used to love Bonfamille's when it was still there. Tear for that. But yeah, it's still, there's so much fun theming, and it's a great place to just roam the grounds, which I love the kind of resorts where you can just do that, and being able to walk from one side to the other and explore Riverside as well. Yeah, it's a great option. I love the Sassagoula River going by, and that you can take the boat and go to Disney Springs, or just, take it and go back for a scenic boat ride.
That's what I actually had them both combined, Riverside and French Quarter. And the reason we found it was the boat ride. Actually, a friend of ours actually worked there and told us about the boat ride, and we started doing that. And when people would come down from the north, that was one of the things we'd always take them to go do. Was go do the boat ride, just so they could go through. And you can see the treehouse cabins. You can go all the way to the springs and see the progress of when it was being redone, reimagined down there. I've always liked the both Port Orleans, Riverside, and French Quarter, because I just think there's just something different about it. It's like you step right into Louisiana. At the beignets, of course, are just a wonderful added touch that is needed. They are good, almost as good as the ones in Disneyland, but they are still very good. And the property is beautiful, actually. It looks like you're in the plantations, the fields, and the things like that, and the buildings and the decor on the outside. The theming is just on point, I think, at both of them for me.
I agree. All right, so those are our sort of quick top four, sort of the ones that came to mind, each of us. So first, let's keep going through the list. We'll try and speed things along so we can make sure we hit all 10. Tim, I believe, like it or not, we're back to you.
I can't believe this snuck through the first round. And we talked about a few resorts that take you away from the hustle and bustle of Walt Disney World as if you were somewhere far, far away. But I'm going in the opposite direction. This resort to me is the one that, if there's any resort that says Walt Disney himself and what his dream ambition was, and just what he was as a person and what he liked, would be the Contemporary Resort. And like I said, I can't believe we haven't mentioned that one yet. But when we go to the Contemporary, that's the one resort I feel like, even though the Polynesian did open at the same time, but this is the one resort I feel like Walt Disney had a hand in this. And, his imagination, his dreams of progress, and everything we see at Tomorrowland and Carousel of Progress and all kind of embodies itself at a Contemporary Resort with such that iconic structure that is just so unique. And the monorail running through the resort, I mean, how can you top? That's the ultimate Disney experience. One is the monorail, the best attraction at Walt Disney World. Everybody, we can agree.
The boathouse.
And the fact that they can take the rooms out and redecorate them and then just slide them back in like a chest of drawers. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. Totally false, of course. We did a show on that, Lou. I remember that. But the Contemporary's gone through so many changes over the years, but we still go back, and whenever we're there, we feel like this is like retro Disney. Like we get that feeling we're back. It's like going to Walt Disney Presents One Man's Dream, seeing his office, seeing his school desk, going to the Carousel of Progress, and hearing how near and dear that was to his heart, being at the Contemporary kind of puts you on a spiritual connection with Walt Disney, I think, more than any other resort. Plus, you can walk to the Magic Kingdom, and you can't beat that. And you can watch the fireworks from your room.
And Walt walked there.
And Walt
walked there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is go out back and find the spot. And Tim, when you come down, I'll show you. I'll take you to the spot where Walt walked, and there's a photo of Walt when he was first walking the property, and it's right there on the back, not the backside of water, but the backside of the Contemporary.
But it's just so quintessential Disney. That's where you go when you want to feel like you're in the middle of it all, and you have that Disney magic. And I confess, I don't know what the elevators say now, but I remember they probably do when you would go up, hit the button, get up to the 8th floor, and we're at the 8th floor, or whether it was Goofy or Minnie or whoever. So cool. But
I don't know why Mel Torme was doing the voice in the elevator, but
I
whoever.
don't know.
Susanna and Scott, Contemporary on your list?
Yeah, it's on mine. Yes, for a lot of the reasons. It's just being the first one. I mean, it was with the Poly, but it was there, and like you said, Walt imagined it, and that was his. So you become something that he saw. You can go there and see what he was wanting there, and the monorail going through it is such a cool thing to do to this day. I still think it's awesome to see that run through every time we drive past it. The Wave is probably one of my favorite places to eat breakfast in the morning. I really like the food there. California Grill, going up there and being able to see the view you can into the Magic Kingdom over the water, fireworks. Just it's amazing. Actually, it's probably one of the best views in that area that you can see everything there. And I love going up there. We try to go there. We'll even go to the Contempo Cafe for lunch sometimes. We're at the Magic Kingdom. We'll just walk over there to have lunch just because it gets out of the park for a little bit and get a little bit something different and just walk through the Contemporary because we like it that much.
I didn't have it on my list because I forgot to put it up.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, you hate Walt Disney. I can't believe it.
But when I was compiling my list in my head before I put it to my phone in notes, that was one of the ones that's like the quintessential theme park experience resort, I think, because especially even if you get the Bay Lake view rooms, you can see, so many fun things there as well. But yeah, everyone said everything, so.
I would be remiss too, real quick. I forgot. I'm embarrassed I didn't do this. The Contemporary gives me the opportunity to talk about my favorite artist, Mary Blair, and that beautiful mural that she put together. But she is my favorite artist of all time, and from Small World to the concept sketches she did. But being at the Contemporary, not only are you with Walt Disney, you're with Mary Blair too.
It's interesting how the word we all used or had on our notes was quintessential Disney, right? It was on my thing as well. Obviously, the obvious things, California Grill and the monorail and the access and things like that. The history for me was a big thing. It's the first place we stayed when I came as a kid. There's a very sentimental, nostalgic part of Lou Mongello that has a very emotional connection to that resort and so many memories that I have of the Fiesta Fun Center. Although most recently I have memories of eating lunch and doing a review at the Wave, which was oh so very good. I loved breakfast there. If you go back to show 472, I did a live review of the Contempo Cafe, which is so good. How good is it? It's worth going to, not just for the food, but the cool views of the monorail overhead. And 485, top 10 secrets and stories, of Disney's Contemporary Resort, where we talk about not just the history and the mural, but I think people sometimes forget, and because it's been lost over time, that the original theming of the resort really was a lot more towards like the American Southwest and the Grand Canyon. I mean, that 4th floor is and was always the Grand Canyon Concourse. It was almost supposed to feel like a modern representation of the American Southwest. But you can get nuggets like that and more back on show 485. Again, very much high on my list as well. Actually, it was the first thing that I wrote down when I sort of brain dumped my list. So, Susanna, what else do you have on your little list?
Next up on my list is probably Animal Kingdom Lodge. And Animal Kingdom Lodge, similar to Wilderness Lodge, when you walk in, it's amazing and awe-inspiring. That was part of our tour that we recently did, so I'm sure we'll all have things to add to that. But the fact that basically the whole experience is like another vacation, because you've got animals there to look at. So you can do theme parks all day long and come back and see giraffes and zebras out your room if you have a Savannah View room. In addition, the resort itself is basically like a museum of culture and art and culinary traditions with the restaurants that they have. So everyone that works there has a story to tell, and it's such an amazing, and there's always something new to see and learn at Animal Kingdom Lodge, in my opinion. And it has great food.
It's all about the food.
Yeah, I like,
Always.
as much as I like to look at the animals, they're so tasty. They're also so tasty.
Come on.
Although I ate there at Chico with Susanna, they also have wonderful vegan options.
They do, yes.
Right.
And the samosas at Sanaa.
Oh,
are to
don't
die
even
for.
get me started on Sanaa.
And they're vegan.
Bread service. I'm coming for you. We should have done this thing at Sanaa. It would be even better.
It would
We
have
could be
been
sharing
a
bread
4-hour
service.
show.
It's going to be a 4-hour show anyway. So
Now you say it. Good job.
Scott, was Animal Kingdom Lodge on your list too?
It was, and we had stayed there years ago, but more so after the tour we did and learning more about the stories. Like Susanna was saying, everybody has a story. Every cast member there has something to tell you about something in the lodge. That headpiece they showed us, I had no idea that's what that was. The piece of art towards the back of the main lobby, to the right side there, or left side, sorry. Had no idea what that was, but we got a full explanation of it. And it's just little things like that. A lot of people, they just walk past it and they just think it's decoration and they don't think anything more of it. And that's one thing about Disney is you really need to take time, look around the lobby, look around the resorts. Everything has a reason it's there. It's not just put there just because it looks good. There's a story behind it. And if you ask the cast members, they'll tell you the stories. And then walking out and looking over the Savannah, and just, it's amazing that you can wake up, look out your door and see animals walking around. It's you can't do that anywhere else in the world, and I love doing that, and I would love to stay back there again because we just had so much fun when we did stay there a few years back.
Tim, have you ever stayed there?
Now, everybody's fessing up to places they haven't stayed, and this is one of mine. I've never
We'll
stayed
have to
there.
add that to the list too.
Visited many times, but I'll just say Zebra Domes.
When you started to say zebra, I was afraid what was going to come out of your mouth next.
You're the one who said you eat the animals.
What? Listen,
You've been teetering on that line for years.
I'm not going to beat a dead zebra horse with this. I agree with everything that all of you said. As tempted as I am to just dive into this is a destination resort. And what I mean by that is I think that you should stay there because it's almost like sleeping at a theme park because there's so much to see and do and learn. There's incredible learning opportunities. So parents, when you pull your kids out of schools, you can justify it by taking them to Animal Kingdom Lodge. But the culinary options there are fantastic. The educational opportunities there are amazing. You can take a nighttime Savannah, the Wanyama Safari. There's free culinary tours. There's a free resort tour. There's a paid wine tasting tour. There's the some of the different lounges you can go to. Victoria Falls is lovely. Even just places to go and sit. It's a spectacular resort. I mean, the grounds of the resort and the decor of the resort is unlike I think anything else you see anywhere else. It's also quite comfortable and luxurious as well. Also, definitely made my list. And I think especially if you have families with kids, it's a really fun place to go to too. Again, I think you can spend an entire day at that resort without going to the nearby Disney's Animal Kingdom and still have an amazing time. Did I mention SNA and the late night bread service? I'm not sure if I did.
No, what is that, Lou?
Yeah, we actually, in show 478, we reviewed Late Night SNA Lounge. Go for the bread service. Stay for the bread service. It's that good.
Oh,
all right, so Scott, anything else? What else is on your list?
Okay, well, I'm going to break away from the type of resorts we can go on. Art of Animation is one of my favorite resorts
go, brother.
to go to. It's fun from the minute you walk in. You walk into the lobby, you see I love to draw, I always have, and that's Disney companies based on art and Walt's drawings and things like that in the early days. And as you walk in there, you see concept art, and then as you progress down the lobby, you see where it went from concept to what became the final drawings for certain animation and such. But the bigger than life, you walk into the different areas. You see the Nemo area. You see the Cars area, which I absolutely love because it reminds me of Cars Land out in California Adventure. So you get to go down there and see that. And I just love everything about the resort. It does have the food court, which gives you plenty of options to eat, which is always important to me too, just like it is you, Lou. You're right on the Skyliner route, so you can get to Hollywood Studios, Epcot pretty easily. You can also tour the other resorts that you're going to pass by there, so you have all those food options as well as staying there. But it's the Toy Story area. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one, isn't it? Toy Story area is there, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I'm confusing them all in my head. I got too many notes here. But the Cars area, Toy Story area, Nemo, Little Mermaid, it's just all awesome to me that they bring it to life like they do. You step into the cartoons when you're there, and bigger than life buildings and structures, and like the Cars pool, they have the free cabanas of the Cozy Cone. And you can go in there and sit and enjoy the pool area and take your photo with Lightning McQueen and Mater and Sally and all those different characters from that movie. Go stand by Buzz Lightyear, who's 40 feet tall at least. Get your picture with him or Woody. Walk around the Nemo area and you see all the different characters. You see Crush hanging out by the entrance into that building. I love it. It makes me feel like a kid walking around there again. And my kids love it. So that makes it even better that we all kind of feel the same way when we're there.
Xana, Tim, Art of Animation on your list?
I did have that on my list, yes, because it has been for the past few years our go-to staycation spot, just because it is on the lower price side and it can fit everyone in our family without them all killing each other. And yeah, it really is a fun atmosphere. It's larger than life. You feel like you're in the movie that you're themed around. And the food court is very, like, it's not just regular food court food. It's like really good. And now with the addition of the Skyliner, like Scott said, it's just a great option.
Tim, on your list, ever stay there?
Well, since I didn't make a list because you didn't want No, it's funny. I've never stayed there, but have visited. And I was so impressed when I walked into the lobby for all the reasons they said. That even aside from the artwork on the wall, I wasn't expecting that, I guess is the best way to say it. If you're used to the 7, 8, 9, 10 story, however tall it is, timber frame lobby of the Wilderness Lodge, or some other lobbies we might talk about later, you might not be expecting that when you go to Art of Animation, but that lobby is just spellbinding. So, and again, I said I haven't stayed there, but visited, and I right away was blown away by the artwork, the coolness. It's just the coolest lobby I've ever seen. I can't get over the lobby. It's great. And yeah, there's all the big cars and all that stuff. But
so
I'm there for the art. So.
Yeah, so Art of Animation was not only on my list, it was very, very. I'm surprised as I was sort of trying to put these in some semblance of order and ranking, how high I ended up putting Art of Animation, because I think it ticks a lot of boxes, including ones that maybe some of the other ones don't. And the first is, again, being conscious that everyone's budget when they visit Walt Disney World is different. If you're looking for a more affordable, budget-friendly option within Walt Disney World Resort property, Art of Animation, to me, is it's a value resort plus. I think to me, it's almost a step up above the All-Star resorts, even Pop Century Resort. I love the way it pays, again, being a fan of old Disney and that it pays homage to the characters of Disney and Pixar, but more importantly, the stories of how those stories came to life. I think the themed rooms they're not only whimsical and immersive, they're a lot of fun. Plus, again, if you're going on a budget and maybe you have a larger family, they have the family suites where you can fit up to 6 people in a single room. They have that great dining room table that folds down to reveal a bed. I think the Cars themed rooms are just awesome. Like the fact that the bathroom is decorated like a car wash, I found myself like with this stupid grin on my face. I'm like, that's just so cool. So you get all the Disney perks. The Big Blue pool is the largest resort pool on property. If you go underwater, you'll hear Disney and Pixar music being piped in. You guys all mentioned the fact that there's Skyliner access makes this resort that even without it would have been very high on my list. I think the Skyliner bumped it up even further. You mentioned Landscape of Flavors. I did a live review of that back on show 399. Landscape of Flavors is so good. How good is it?
How good is it?
Thank you very much, studio audience. It's so good that I think it's a destination food court. I think it's that. And as a locals, like I've gone with my family. Sometimes we'll be out, we'll be driving around property and figure what we want to do. And we'll talk about where we want to go eat. And we'll make a special trip to go there. We'll eat at Landscape of Flavors, and then we'll walk around to the Little Mermaid, Lion King, Nemo, and Cars themed areas just to sort of check it out or take pictures with, again, the larger than life figures that looked like they sort of just stepped out of the I was going to say off the pages, but off sort of the movie screen. And again, having access to the Skyliner and being able to hit other properties as well as the parks really even bumps this resort that was very high on my list even higher as well. So yeah, you don't have to splurge dollar wise to have that type of immersive, fun, whimsical, comfortable experience that you get at Art of Animation. So,
I like how you audibly yelped when he said that.
Who yelped?
You! Woo! I heard you. We all heard you.
Sorry, I can't help it.
That's what we live for.
15 years of doing this, man. I still get excited about all this kind of stuff. In case you hadn't noticed, I kind of like Walt Disney World. It might be a shocker to you, but I do. Is it my turn?
Yes.
I was going to start singing "It's My Turn," that song from the 70s, but nobody's going to know it, and nobody wants to hear me sing.
Do it. You've been promising you were going to sing for me.
It's not. It's My Turn is not going to be it. So, all right. So
big tease.
So we're getting, and I think we're probably getting close to 10. So maybe we'll all just hit one more pretty quickly. All right. I was going to go, and I won't say it in case I don't want to take it away from it. I was going to go, again, nostalgia, theming, all this, for one of the original Walt Disney World resorts. Okay, I just gave it away. But recently, we were invited to tour and visit and stay at Disney's newest resort, which is Disney's Riviera Resort. And I got to tell you, like, I really kind of fell in love with that place. So Disney's Riviera Resort was inspired by Europe and the French and Italian Riviera. It captures some of that old European styling. And again, there's a connection to Walt because it really is about Walt's visits there, and there's pictures of Walt everywhere. Like, there's silly things I love. That palm tree lined entrance boulevard, I think, is just it's wonderful and elegant. And then you get this incredible facade of the resort, and I love the archways and porticos to the terraces and the towers that are there. So you get those sort of European and Mediterranean influences. And when you walk into the lobby, it's very different than what we see at one of the other new, and again, I don't want to take anything away, but very different than what we get from something like Coronado Springs and the Gran Destino Tower, which has this incredible grand lobby and entranceway. This is much different. This is much more elegant and intimate, and it's this mix of 20th century modern and classic, and there's this wonderful, unique art collection that line the walls, not just through the lobbies, but the hallways as well. I mean, I found myself sort of wandering the hallways, looking at and taking pictures of some of the artwork that clearly was inspired by some of the master artists that you'd find painting on and about the European Riviera. I love the outdoor gardens and the fountains and the waterfront. Obviously, the mural from Peter Pan and the mosaic mural of Tangled in that spectacular archway as you again go over to the Skyliner, which is a huge selling point, are lovely. I'm not going to lie. Topolino's Terrace, we had a breakfast there and a dinner there. I would have been happy going there for breakfast and just hanging out all day until they serve dinner. That pasta I know I may have mentioned it when I did a live room tour. That pasta with the chicken was some of the best. I literally I'm sweating. I am having a precognitive sweat over how good that pasta was. I want to go back, Kate. We need to go back. It was so good. The breakfast with the Fab Four, Starry Pluto, was lovely, and the views are spectacular. There is something that I love too about even the rooms. The muted grays and blues is both warm and elegant, yet still comfortable. You get some great views outside of the Skyliner and the water. There's something about the overall ambiance about the Riviera that makes it unique. And again, I'm thinking about, some of the views from the rest. Again, depending on where your room is, you can get views of fireworks at night, sunset up at Topolino's Terrace can't be beat, and the Skyliner and Caribbean Beach off in the near distance. And the accommodations ranging from the grand villas and huge, apartment-like suites to the tower suites, which I think absolutely serve, and time will tell how well they're received. They absolutely serve a demographic that maybe is a solo traveler, a couple, maybe two friends, or a mom and her daughter, or a dad and son, whatever it might be, that don't need a lot of space, but are still in a very comfortable room that have an outside balcony with the fold down beds. I didn't stay there, but I was able to tour it when it first opened. I think that's a very, very interesting new resort room category that's being tested here. Time will tell how well it's received, but I really found that I came to love Riviera a lot more the more time that I spent there. On anybody else's list?
Yep.
Definitely on mine.
Yep.
It was actually the first thing on my list, but I went with Wilderness Lodge.
So what put it so high for you?
All the reasons that you said, and I think it's such a unique resort, even though, there's so many Disney resorts out there, and yet somehow they are recreating the Disney resort each year, it seems now. I love that it's up on a hill, that you get to it and it seems like it's on a hill, and the views, like you said, it's just so welcoming. There's it's not a big lobby, but the outside area, like the ground floor with the little grassy area, and there's like a life-size chess set and all that. It's so inviting, and it invites you to like explore and find other nooks and crannies. And when you come across the archway, like you said, with the mosaic tiles, it's just like, I mean, they didn't have to do that. They could have just made an archway, but they made it 2 works of art in there that are like, countless Instagram selfie opportunities. And it's just a wonderful new addition, I think. And the artwork, like you mentioned, really ties it all in and reminds you that you are at a Disney resort. But it shows you that Disney can be interpreted in many different ways. So I just really loved it. I felt very at home there when we were staying there. And yeah, I wish I could move in.
Even the little cafe right off the lobby, and I love the dark woods and the mahoganies and that little reading room, again, right off the lobby. There's a lot of those little spaces tucked throughout the resorts, including downstairs, some of the dining options, some of the quick service dining options there as well are really nice. The wonderful little place downstairs that overlooks the pool and the water, that's sort of this open air quick service cafe. It was really, really nice as well. So Scott, I know you stayed there as well.
Yeah, it was definitely on my list. From the moment we walked into the room we had, I could live there. I mean, that's how nice the room. I mean, you had everything you needed in that room to be living there comfortably. And then the view, once you pull back the curtains and you show that view out towards back, and we were, our view was looking at Caribbean Beach. So we saw the look out there and to see the Skyliner. It was just amazing. But then going up to Topolino's Terrace for dinner that night and seeing the view from their patio out there was just, it was cold that night, cold for Florida. And there was a handful of us out there still taking every photo we could or filming, waiting for Star Wars fireworks to come in from Hollywood Studios. Or then we saw Epcot in the distance. We actually saw Magic Kingdom's fireworks in the distance once we were out there on the patio. So it just, it had everything you could want in a resort, and it's still classy, but it's classy Disney. And you still got those little things of Disney around there. And if you're not the type of person that wants Disney in your face, like Art of Animation or any of the All-Stars throw it in your face all the time, that is the place to go if you really like it at a different level. And you will really enjoy just walking around the resort. You're, like you said, the art on the walls of the different hallways. We were just blown away with how nice it was. We kept wondering if they'd sell that anywhere in the store or anything like that, or the pillows even. My wife wanted to buy. They had a Tangled pillow in our room on the one chair with the Tangled Sons on it, and that's her favorite movie. And we were just like, oh my gosh, they even thought of something so little like that, but it just brought it home for us both, being that movie means something to us.
Well, and you made a great point, right? There's a different vibe in this resort, and it made me think of Grand Destino Tower in that for me it feels analogous to Aulani, right? As opposed to something like Art of Animation, which is, clearly it's in your face in a good way. It's Disney and it's movies and it's whimsy and it's the animated films, whereas Riviera feels as though it is a resort that you'd find on the European Riviera with some of those Disney touches elegantly sprinkled through. Even like you said, the artwork on the walls, you almost have to sort of get up close to it before you realize that it's Disney art as just opposed to, an impressionist style painting. And even in the rooms, there was a lot of that as well. I will quickly just go back to Topolino's Terrace. I love the way they do the character breakfast there, where there's the shared pastries and then the different entrees. The spiced sausage hash is one of the best things I've had for breakfast in a long. I was really hungry, but it was really, really good. And at dinner, I had to go back and look up what the pasta was, because it was that good. Did you guys? Oh, you were on the other table, but I was watching. The filet mignon is one that people can't stop talking about, and the chicken. People are like raving. You don't hear people rave about the chicken, and they're raving about the chicken. But the rigatoni with the braised chicken sugo and the dandelion and the Parmesan Reggiano. Oh my God, it's so. I have to go. I need to go back. If only I could find somebody to do a live review of Topolino's Terrace with me. Tim Foster, you haven't even been there, have you?
Not being a local.
We need to fix that, number one. That's what we need to fix.
Now, the list of mine that it is on is places I need to go see.
Yes.
Because I haven't seen. No, actually, last time I was in Disney, it was still under construction. So that's my experience of it. So I have very little to add to this other than to ask Lou if you need a moment to calm down from all.
Sorry, I get very excited, and I'm hungry. So.
And you're clearly you're hangry.
I'm hungry in a good way. So I don't remember whose was that mine.
That was yours.
All right. So Tim, Zana, Scott, give me your last one on your list, and then I'll have one final question for you.
At the same time?
Yes.
All right, everybody. Let's see if we have the same. No. Wait, we should do that. Let's see if we all have the same one. I'm kidding. Well, Lou, you're the boss. All right, I'll just go ahead. I wanted to give the Swan and Dolphin more love, but
no, I want you.
No, I feel
I mentioned it so you could give them love.
All right, so if you're over at the Epcot Resort area, there's an adorable pair of resorts that you might want to check out. I actually wanted to talk about the boardwalk, but I'll talk about the Swan and Dolphin. No, I want to talk about the boardwalk because you talked about the Swan and Dolphin in your effort to not talk about the Swan and Dolphin. I love the boardwalk nearly as much as I love the Yacht and Beach Club, and I think it's curious. I'm not sure how to describe it. I think I don't want to say deceiving, but it's one of the not what you expect resorts. At least it wasn't for me, because you see it when you are wandering around Crescent Lake, if you're staying at the Yacht and Beach Club or the Swan Dolphin, or if you're just wandering around the boardwalk and you see the boardwalk resort, you see all the rooms on the boardwalk. And everybody I talk to who hasn't stayed there, and I ask, why don't you stay there? Oh, it's going to be noisy. I'm just going to hear people walking on the boardwalk. It's going to be no, because there's that facade, which you see, and you can certainly stay there, but there's so much more to the boardwalk behind that. The garden, villa rooms, the resort goes way beyond what you see out front, and that's why I say it's a little deceiving, although I don't feel that's quite the right word, but it's more than meets the eye. Let's put it that way. Like there's a lot more to the boardwalk than you would assume by just looking at it. There's so many incredible details in the lobby. The twin, the two chairs that remind me of the two sisters from The Shining, I just cannot get out of my head. But again, it's if you're a walking person and you like walking to the parks, the boardwalk has the advantage of, whereas the beach club is very, very close to Epcot, so is the boardwalk. But it's also very close to the studios. If you're kind of in between and you want to go either way, the boardwalk's probably the most central of the two of them. So that's kind of cool if you like walking, going for that early morning stroll down the canal over to the studios and so forth. But the boardwalk just has a charm all to itself, although it is keeping in with the nautical theming of the Yacht and the Beach Club, but it has its own Atlantic City boardwalk kind of vibe. There's old time penny arcade movieolas and games and stuff throughout the lobbies and the hallways and stuff. And it does have a rather understated lobby, as most of the Epcot resorts do, but it's still incredibly beautiful. And like, I believe the Contemporary would be the only one that shares this in common with, it puts its Christmas tree outside, which I think is incredible, which I think is great at Christmas, because it's right out in front and everyone can see it. You can get your picture taken in front of it and stand by the Christmas tree when it's 95 degrees outside. There's no experience like that. So that was on my list. And I love the Swan and Dolphin, even though I'm not allowed to. So I still love them.
I will just quickly say the boardwalk
and you still haven't taken me to Blue Zoo, by the way.
I didn't?
Nope.
Well, we got to do that too. The Cantonese lobster, and I'm not even gonna let you look at the menu. One of us is getting the miso glazed Miro. The other one of us is getting the Cantonese lobster. I'm not gonna let you eat either of them because they're so good. I want 2 entrees. It's like being on a cruise. And the nitrogen sriracha tuna at the appetizer. Ay vey, it's so good.
You're just bringing me along for
just so I don't feel like, I'm ordering 2 entrees.
So
And
you
I
can
think
throw out.
I think
can-
that. Wait, I'm not done yet. Kimono's
Go
has some
ahead,
of the
go
best sushi on property. I think the Fountain has a delicious hamburger and a really good buffalo chicken salad. It all comes back to food. I talked about the lobby.
Milkshakes.
Milkshake, so good. So good. But the boardwalk did not make my list. I know.
Whoops.
Shocker.
Why
Anybody
not?
else? Either thoughts on the boardwalk or Susanna, what's next on your list?
Well, on the boardwalk, I do love it. I kind of lumped it together with beach and yacht on my list, but I do really love it at
Boardwalk
Christmas
needs
time.
its love.
No, I do love it. It reminds me of my grandmother's house at Christmas time because they have all those little glass ornaments, and the music that they play reminds me of her. Anyway, I'm gonna go with, which I guess I have to call Disney's Coronado Springs Resort and Convention Center, but Gran Destino Tower was on my list, and we kind of talked about it briefly with the similarities to Riviera as far as not being in your face Disney. But when we went over there for Toledo for dinner on this recent resort tour that we did, I was reminded of how much I love it there. It's just so elegant, but it's not stuffy. It's not like, you don't feel like, ooh, this is too fancy for me. It's just so gorgeous to look at. The lobby, I don't know, I just feel like I could spend hours in there and just stare at everything. The Dahlia Lounge up on the, I think it's 15th floor, correct me if I'm wrong, with Toledo, there's so much tie-in with Salvador Dali, and I think I did a blog post about this when it came out, because we had been to the museum in St. Petersburg. So knowing a little bit of the backstory of Salvador Dali and seeing all of the representation of him in that resort, in the tower itself, was really interesting to me. It's, if you're into art at all, I think it's definitely a place for you to walk around and explore. But the rooms were amazing as well. Again, that, elegant, neutral kind of space versus lots of Disney theming. And I think it's a great addition.
Scott, was it on your list?
It was on my list, and the one thing I agree with everything she said. The only thing I'd add is the elevators there. They're just
I still
awesome.
haven't figured, I think I'm still trying to figure them out. But
I loved everything about the resort. That was my first time seeing it when we did the tour a couple weeks ago, and it was just amazing. The view at the top was wonderful to be able to look out and just see everything you can see from that angle. It just takes your breath away, really. It does, to see everything from that height and looking down at all. I loved it.
So it was on my list. I actually wrote out a list of 10, and Coronado was on my list of 10, specifically Gran Destino Tower, and this incredible, wonderful mixture of the Mexican and Spanish and Southwest American culture sort of coming together in this single building with, again, like an Aulani, like a Riviera, those Disney touches overlaid on top of modern comforts, with some cool, one of the things I noticed, there's like power outlets everywhere. There's tables and spaces to work or play or relax, both in the lobby as well as, on some of these, branched off areas from the lobby. And again, speaking of that lobby, that dramatic, 2-story lobby with those Moorish lanterns, the lighting in there. Like when I try and visit, especially a new space, I try and look at it on many different levels, from the decor to the theming to the details, the technology, and even like that spectacular lighting and the Moorish lanterns. Again, there's something old and something new about it. Again, the Dahlia mural, the Walt mural, in the lobby. Dahlia Lounge is, again, I think a destination lounge as much as Toledo is a destination dining location. Even when it's crowded, it doesn't feel crowded. There's this interesting connection to Coronado Springs, and again, the new the arrival experience when you go in and sort of that non-traditional check-in area. I think that the Villa del Lago area and the Three Bridges Lounge is lovely. Again, I think it's worth going to make a specific visit. I love the decor of the rooms. Again, like Riviera, the lines are very clean. It's very comfortable. Again, they've got the hardwood floors. They've got wonderful artwork on the walls. The other thing that bears mentioning is that Gran Destino has a club level in what is technically, the lines are getting very blurred between what's a moderate, what's a deluxe resort, because there's a the Kronos Club is if you have a club level access room, which is the first time they're giving it in this level of resort, is this wonderful, intimate, relaxing, comfortable space that, again, if you want to have a place to go away, if you want some of the benefits of concierge level, you're able to get it at this resort. I was sort of back and forth between this and Riviera in terms of which I was sort of leaning towards more. Maybe Riviera was just sort of, the most recent visit. Maybe that was why it was freshest in my mind, although we did get a chance to eat at Toledo as well. But I think if I had to choose to stay personally one versus the other, I think I would choose Riviera. I think I would stay in Riviera over Coronado. So just very quickly, were there any other ones that you had on your list that we didn't touch on? Just sort of blurt them out.
I think you skipped over somebody.
Did I skip over somebody?
Yeah, you did. Who
did I skip over?
Me.
Oh my God, I'm so bad at this. Sorry.
I got your back, buddy. Don't worry.
Thank you so much, Tim. At least somebody cares about me here.
You got it. Since you're talking all about resorts I haven't been to yet. So.
Now I'm going to take my sweet time, Lou. Getting this one out there. So actually, I do have one more resort, and it's not one we touched on. And I'm going to say I said something earlier that I'm going to correct with this one. Because when I said Art of Animation, I did mention Toy Story. And the Toy Story area is not at Art of Animation. It's actually at All-Star Movies, which was actually one that is on my list for a couple reasons. One, it's sentimental to me because when Michelle and I got married in 2008 and she brought me to Disney and I was not a Disney fan, that's where we stayed. When we got here, actually, we didn't even have a reservation. We flew down here from Michigan. We rented a car and drove to All-Star Movies.
Suzanne and I are looking at each other like, wow, are we friends with this person?
I know. She was the fan. She's the one that sucked me in and got me all
and look at you now.
I know. Talk about 12 years. Look what all happened. But it just, there's something about that resort. Just for me, it brought back a lot of memories when we toured it a couple weeks ago. The one thing I liked now, when we stayed there in 2008, and we actually stayed there again in 2009, we came back, the rooms were double beds. And again, I'm 6'3", 280 pounds. I don't fit in a double bed, at least not comfortably. They just upgraded all the rooms to queen size beds, which I thought was a nice upgrade across the property. And they're going to do that at all the All-Stars. They've restructured the room to where it has that same dining room table type thing they had at the Cars Suite at Art of Animation, where the other bed pulls down. So you have more room in your room now because that bed is not down there all the time. They have the Fantasia pool, which is just something about, I love seeing Sorcerer Mickey in the middle of the pool with the brooms behind him and everything all around it. I just love it. It's a great resort. It's very affordable. I mean, we talked about Art of Animation being an affordable resort. That one's even more affordable, I believe. I believe it's even a little bit less because you talked about Art of Animation almost being like a value plus. Even the values at Disney are a good value, and you still get all the Disney amenities you get anywhere else. And if you are the type of person like we were, that we came down here and we were at the rope drop and we were there till the goodnight kiss, we were there. Our room was really more for sleeping. We might take a half a day here to go sit by the pool or something like that. But that resort, there's actually still a lot of stuff to see and do there, as well as sleep there and be comfortable enough with your family. As long as you don't have adult children with you, you can make it work. And I really enjoyed staying there, and it just brought me back so much memory when we were there just last week or 2 weeks ago, and seeing it again and walking around the grounds, and just, I loved it. It meant something to me personally. So I liked
I agree with everything that you said. I like that resort too. Again, theming, and again, it starts at $99 depending on when you go. So when you talk about affordability and being budget conscious, if only there was a book about 102 ways to save money for it at Walt Disney World, now available on Amazon and other retailers.
Lou, you dropped the plug there.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Okay, so now very quickly, any other last mentions that you want to quickly add to our list?
How about the most beautiful lobby in all of Walt Disney World?
Are you going to
Beautiful.
Are you going to go to the one that was on my list that did not get mentioned?
World of Sports, yeah.
World of Sports.
So Timmy Foster, you threw it out there. Where is the most beautiful lobby in Walt Disney World?
Oh, it's absolutely at the Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, where we've shared many a lunch at the Grand Floridian at a cafe. Am I allowed to talk about it, or are we going around the horn here? Because,
I mean, make it quick, but yeah, go ahead.
It's pretty. It's expensive. It's beautiful. Home to one of the most. No, it's, if nothing else, we love the Grand Floridian because of that lobby, because of at Christmas especially, it's beautiful. But even not at Christmas, we'll go listen to the Grand Floridian Society Orchestra or the piano player in the lobby. The great place to relax, especially having a long day at the Magic Kingdom. Take a break, hop on the monorail, take a launch boat over. Just so many places to sit and relax. You might even see a Princess 2 come around and for an impromptu ball, and get so many eating options there, that's a show into itself. But the Grand Floridian gets my nod just for the lobby and all the moments we've spent just relaxing there, even if we weren't staying there.
Now, am I allowed to ask if Susanna or Scott have any last mentions?
Jeez.
Well, on my list, I had that we didn't get to the Polynesian.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I'm surprised nobody mentioned it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory. I don't have to really go into it. You guys know why it's a good resort. Also on my list was Old Key West and Saratoga Springs. I kind of lumped those two together because Old Key West, we often stayed there when we had all of the kids together in one place, and my mom at one point. They're larger than the more modern DVC properties. So you have like a little bit more space. It's very secluded again, and there's so many little trails and things like that at Old Key West. Lots of stuff to do there and not leave the resort. Saratoga Springs has a special place in my heart because I used to stay at the Vacation Villas back in the 80s, and that is what's there now. But the Treehouse Villas are still there, and I've never been inside of one, and I hope to someday. So that's all I really have to say. I think they're cool.
Scott?
I actually had Saratoga on my list, so that's the only one I don't think we mentioned. And it's mostly because I've never stayed there. I've seen the rooms. I had a friend who stayed there, and we got to see the room once. Very nice. But I want to stay at the Treehouse Suite just one time. I just want to say I stayed back there. I'll never be able to afford to stay back there. So if we could take up a GoFundMe and raise the money, I would love to do that. But that was the only thing that was missing off my list.
Yeah, I've stayed at the Treehouse Villas. They're super cool, man. They're super cool. And I stayed in the Treehouse Villas like way back before your kids were born, like with my mom and dad.
You did them, so you got all the 70s goodness out of them?
I did. So I saw like the OG villas, and then I saw
so jealous.
The very nicely refurbished villas as well. Yeah, so I didn't. I had Polynesian on my list. I figured somebody else was going to get to it for a variety of reasons. But so the last question that I had for you, right? So we touched on a lot. We had a lot of agreement. If you had to not do a top 10 list, but if we had to pull together, would it be possible for us to pull together a top, in no necessarily particular order, a top 2 or a top 3 resorts at Walt Disney World, like ones that you think have to be on that list, no doubt about it? So I'll ask you, is Wilderness Lodge on that list? Is Wilderness Lodge one of the top 3 without question again, I'm not talking necessarily specifically about budget, but for theming, location, amenities, decor, rooms, dining, is it deserving of being a top 3 Walt Disney World resort?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Scott and Susanna's face, and they're not.
I don't think it's number one.
This
I
is
didn't
turning
say
into
my number
Sophie's
one.
choice here.
I feel like Lou's trying to lead us.
No,
Yeah.
He's gonna
So,
put us
okay.
up for a week in everyone we want.
So what else? What do you think? Right, and this might be a question we're not going to be able to resolve. This will be a good question for you, the listener, to help us sort of come up with. Is there a resort or a couple of resorts that you think are without question have to be on a top 3 Walt Disney World resort list?
If
Is
you
the
can afford
Contemporary
it,
Reserve?
Riviera.
Is what?
If you can afford it, the Riviera.
Wow. Look at you pulling the Riviera out.
I loved the resort. I thought it was one. And usually, I'm not
Are you
the
in love
one-
with it because it's the new girlfriend, right? It's the bright shiny
No.
object.
No,
I mean-
no, it's not that. It's everything we talked about though. The food, the view, location, the amenities, the pool there. Just everything comes together there, and I think it just offers a lot. And when they first built it, and this was my first time seeing it actually when we went a couple weeks ago. I didn't think I would like it because usually I don't like the more elegant ones. I mean, I'm not that way. I'm more the give me pizza and a Pepsi and I'm good to go. And so I walked into this place thinking, okay, I don't think I'm going to like it, but I'm going to try it. And I walked in there and it blew my expectations out of the water. I mean, just the room we had was just fantastic. The food we had was wonderful. The view from Topolino's Terrace and out on the patio, just amazing. And it's one of those things that you're not going to just be able to see anywhere else. You're not going to be able to get that view from up there and watching the Skyliner go back and forth and see the other resorts in the distance. And you see fireworks over at Epcot going off. You see Star Wars fireworks at Hollywood. I mean, it's just, you get to see so much from up there. And it's a good, that spot to me would compete with the spot at California Grill looking into the Magic Kingdom. That you could see, you get your views of those that are just amazing views. That you don't get anywhere else. That's why
if you think it, love it now, Scott. Wait till you try the rigatoni.
Oh,
with that-
you get
with
off
that-
the rigatoni
with
already.
I had the
sauce,
filet.
with
So
the
the
garlic
filet was
and
good.
the onion and Dios mío.
You didn't
it's
talk
so
about
good.
the bread they brought out too.
I didn't,
The
I
bread they
know.
brought out was
And
fantastic.
the dips and the things.
At least we got you off the beignets for a while.
So,
Beignets.
I would take the rigatoni over the beignets any day and twice on Sundays.
Whoa, whoa.
Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry, I live and
That's
die
a-
by that
that's a-
rigatoni.
That's a big statement. Lou.
I know.
It is big.
I know.
Even the spicy hash you had the next day.
Yeah, the rigatoni was that good. Yeah, so I mean, and I know Tim, you haven't stayed there, but Susanna, like again, as somebody who's been going to Disney World for decades and has seen, does Riviera? Is it one of the best of the best of the best? We might.
That is.
It's okay if we're not in full agreement. This is part of the fun
Yeah.
of the list.
It's a difficult question because as much as I love Riviera, and I do love Riviera, I would want to live there. I don't think it's necessarily in the same category even as something like a Magic Kingdom resort. As far, for like a first time visitor, I don't know. It's so hard because I feel like either the Contemporary or the Polynesian would be like
Has
the
to be on the
embodiment
list.
of, I don't know. It's so hard. And Wilderness Lodge, I do love, like that was the first one that you brought up again, but I love it for the lobby and like the theming and not necessarily the rooms. Like the rooms are like the bottom of the reasons I love it. So it's really, really hard to choose.
Tim, is there one for you that you just feel has to be on this list?
No, you brushed me off pretty good.
No, I was saving the best for last.
Now, you know what I'll add? You know why this is a great question? Because it's impossible to answer.
Exactly.
It really
And
is.
I
That's
will
the whole
say
point. This is
the,
Tim. This is the payoff. This is the big climactic ending where I ask you the impossible question.
I'm going to deliver. So I think that question embodies what is so great about all the Walt Disney World resorts, because you have pretty much unlimited possibilities of what you can experience. Whether you kind of said it, how can you say the top three? Are you talking the top three in elegance? Are you talking food? Are you talking convenience? Are you talking that quintessential Disney experience? Or are you talking about a palatial home away from home 5-star experience? I don't know. How can you compare one to the other? And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to, because you get all of this at Walt Disney. You have your choice of experiencing it the way you want to. And everybody, we just heard, we all have our own favorite resorts for a variety of reasons. A lot of them are personal, and a lot of them are nostalgic. But again, whether it's a value consideration, or you want the Disney experience, or you want to be a short walk away from your favorite park, that's the beauty of it. Can't whittle it down to 3. How can you do that?
Which was the whole point of asking. See, this is the only thing I learned in law school, right? The whole point of asking
Don't ask the question.
right, was to ask this question. And certainly it's one I want you, the listener, and the point of this show was that we wanted you to be introduced to ones that might not have been on your radar before, because I think for some people, Walt Disney World, they have a favorite resort that literally is a home away from home. Look, the old Key West, the old Key West people, man, they love old Key West, and that's where they're going to stay, and that will always be the place. But I wanted to introduce you to places that might not have been on the radar, because I think you're right. I think all of these resorts offer true one-of-a-kind experiences that are immersive, not just in theming and lobby, but even in dining, dare I say, transformative experiences. I think Fort Wilderness and Wilderness Lodge and Animal Kingdom Lodge and Art of Animation, they are, where you stay really impacts your vacation. And the fact that you have the options and the opportunity to stay in, global destinations like a safari camp in Africa, the French Quarter of New Orleans, the Caribbean, the waterways of the French Riviera, or sort of dive into those Disney-fied fantasy worlds that we've seen on screen, like Radiator Springs and the Big Blue Pool, or a pirate-themed room with galleon beds at Caribbean Beach, which nobody talked about either. The advantages to staying on Walt Disney World property are not just the magic bands and transportation and things like that. It's what each of these affords you. And I'm sure we all do. We know people that visit Walt Disney World and they'll resort hop, and go from one to the next. And Disney does a great job of just leaving your bags there, and they will sort of automatically show up at your next resort. I would certainly suggest, look, if you're going to stay at, All-Star Sports and Grand Floridian, I'd probably start at All-Star Sports and end off at Grand Floridian rather than the other way around. But there is no wrong answer, right? They're all wonderful in their own special ways, some even more so because of the rigatoni, but I'm not going to get into that again. But I really do want to hear from you, my friend that's been sitting here with us talking about the things that we love about all these resorts. I want to know what your favorite is, or what is your top 2 or your top 3 resorts, and why. And be part of the community and conversation by going to www.radio.com/community. I'll post a link to this week's show there and really have the conversation there. And maybe we can come up with some sort of a voting process and see if we can come up collectively with a top 3 Walt Disney World resorts. At the very least, it'll make for a fun, civil conversation and discussion about it. But I want to thank you guys for sharing your thoughts and your insights. And Tim, some of the other stuff you shared too. Thank you for sharing that with me tonight. This is always a lot of fun. We have to go back, Kate. We have to go and visit these again, eat at some of the places that we haven't been to in a long time. And in the meantime, Susanna, then Scott, then Timmy Foster, where other than at Topolino's Terrace trying to get your mitt out of my rigatoni, where can people find you on the internets?
Did you say me first?
I always ladies first. My dad raised me right. It's always ladies first.
I can be found at Xanaland.com, Xanaland on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I also have a podcast now as well. with that Scott Otis guy that used to hang around with you every now and then called Up the Waterfall, which you can find by searching for that on iTunes or just go to Xanaland and there's links there. So there you go.
Awesome. Scott?
What was that? You can find me at themainstreetmouse.com, also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at The Main Street Mouse, and on Twitter, just Main Street Mouse.
And little Timmy Foster, where can we find you?
Oh, I don't know. I'm out. Yeah.
Other than lurking in the bushes at the Red Roof Inn on 192, where else could we find you?
Well, let's see. Over at celebrationspress.com, I'm actually putting the finishing touches on our newest issue, which is going to be all Rise of the Resistance, the upcoming Mulan movie, the new Epcot Disney films, or Epcot Films, World Showcase films. So all kinds of good stuff. We're starting a podcast too. Everybody's jumping on the podcast bandwagon. This is great. Maybe we should do one together. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I'm very much a rookie. So again, but you can find a link to that over at celebrationspress.com. I was so happy when I managed to find it on Spotify to my daughter and said, look what I did. So, real quick, another thing we started and I'm actually working on our new website, wdwcupcakes.com, where we celebrate the sweeter side of Disney. We decided 2020 was the year of the Disney princess. So we're doing Disney themed cupcakes throughout the year. Myself, I am making a Mulan cupcake tonight and tomorrow, which we'll post a video on. So wish me luck, everybody, because the first one I did kind of collapsed in the oven. So, but it's all about the magic. And I think we're on Instagram, Facebook, but I don't know. So you can find out on our website.
I thought you were going to say that
I don't
2020...
know about all these internets and stuff.
I thought you were going to say 2020 was the year of the cupcake, and I was going to get excited, but...
Every year is the year of the cupcake. This is the year of the princess cupcake. It's also, by the way, the year of we're going on a World Showcase cupcake tour, too. That's a whole other.
Actually, there's great cupcakes. Who mentioned All-Star Movies?
Right.
They've got
the
like
menu in those cupcakes.
Yeah.
The secret menu was there too, remember?
Yeah. Lots of good stuff, man. Lots of good stuff. And again, it is always best enjoyed and savored when it is shared with friends and Tim. So Timmy Foster, Susanna Otis, and Scott Atwood, thank you guys for joining me on this resort adventure this evening.
It was so fun hanging out with some of Lou's friends.
All right, if we can't agree on one resort to go to, if I could take you and treat you to dinner right now, anywhere on property, where would we go? Quick.
I want rigatoni.
There you go.
I wouldn't say no to Topolino's for sure.
I don't want any part of rigatoni. I want to go to the Blue Zoo and have this.
While this would normally be time for our Walt Disney World Trivia Question of the Week, instead, I want to once again give you an opportunity to enter for a chance to win $100 in Disney gift cards, and you don't need to know trivia, remember lyrics to Listen to the Land, or know what year a random, now extinct attraction opened, because all you need to do to enter to win is what I've been saying all along, which is to help spread the word. It's easy, it's fun, you can enter more than once, and you're also helping the show and maybe even introducing some of your friends to the podcast and the community as well. So here's how it's going to work, because all I'm asking you to do is once again help spread the word. And this week, it's really easy and kind of up to you, because here's how it's going to work. Every time that you help literally spread the word about WDW Radio, you'll be entered for a chance to win $100 in Disney gift cards. You can use them to save up for your next trip, spend it when you're there, just online, try a meal at a new restaurant, a special souvenir for yourself or somebody special. So how do you go about spreading the word? Well, there's lots of ways, and I want to, like I said, make things as easy as possible for you. I posted an image in the WDW Radio community group on Facebook at wdwradio.com/community. That's our Box People group. And all you need to do is share it. And here's how. You can download it and share it on your blog, on Twitter, or even share that post or create your own on Facebook, Instagram, or Pinterest. The more the better, because every time you share it, that's counted as an entry. And be sure to tag me if you can, and use hashtag WDW Radio so I can find it. So you can chat about the show on Facebook, tweet about it, post on your Instagram. Any place and time you spread the word about the show, that counts as an entry. I'll then randomly select one spread the word entry, and to make sure that I see it, simply tell me how and where you've shared it in the comment section on that original post on Facebook, and then you're entered to win, right? So I want to make sure that I see it, so come back and post on Facebook a link if you can to where you shared it, or even a screenshot, just to make sure that I count any or all of your entries. And as always, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast at www.radio.com/podcast. Obviously, you have to be part of the community over at www.radio.com/community. Like the post, comment there. Again, if you can tag a friend, even better. Again, this is all about helping to spread the word, not just to help the show, but it really does help spread the word about our community, our family that exists not just in the Facebook group, but whether we communicate on Instagram or email at a meet of the month, or email or private message. Again, this is really about strengthening this already amazing community. So the contest runs until Sunday, February 16th. So I'm giving you 2 weeks for a couple reasons. One, I think this could be a lot of fun. And two, this coming week, we do have our WDW Radio community cruise out of New Orleans on the Disney Wonder. So make sure you stay tuned for photos and videos and stories and live broadcasts from there. So you have until Sunday, February 16th at 11:59 p.m. I will post all these rules in Facebook again at www.radio.com/community. So good luck, have fun, and thank you. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you so very much for taking the time to tune in this and every week, for helping to spread the word and being part of the WDW Radio community and family. To join the Box People group on Facebook, it's fun, free, family friendly, and of course, drama free as well. You can go to www.radio.com/community, be part of the community and the conversation. Come by, talk about this week's show, ask a question, or just participate in some of the ongoing discussions. Speaking of community, I also want to thank all of the new and longtime members of the WDW Radio Nation family, and how much I appreciate your support and your friendship and help, and also love being able to give back to you each and every month. I want to thank some of the new and longtime members of the Nation family, including Michelle Hull, Jeffrey Riccio, Ann Eddy, Laura Sleeper, Tracy Arthur, Chris Anderson, Dave Toast, and Janet and Gary Zerilli. Thank you so very much. If you want to find out how you can not only help the show, but also get exclusive rewards every month, including monthly scavenger hunts, we have our own private Facebook group, custom Magic Band covers, there's logo gear, t-shirts, care packages from Walt Disney World, exclusive live video group calls, early access and special discounts to special events, and more. You can visit www.radio.com/support. Again, it's completely optional, very much appreciated, and it's not only a great way for you to help the show and support WDW Radio, but don't forget that a portion of the proceeds of your contributions go to our Dream Team project to directly benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation of America. In addition to being part of the community on Facebook, please don't forget to visit the website over at www.radio.com. We have an amazing team of blog writers that are putting out content all the time. You can also check out some of our videos, subscribe to our email newsletter for exclusive content, contests, offers, updates, and information, and more. It's completely free, and you also get my free 102 Things You Need to Do in Walt Disney World at least once when you subscribe. And you can find all these at www.radio.com. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on the show about maybe an upcoming trip, vacation planning, history, or trivia, you can email me, lou@www.radio.com. Or if you want to be heard on the air, you can call the voicemail at 407-900-9391. You can also connect with me directly on social. I'm at Lou Mongello on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. And please be sure to like the WDW Radio page on Facebook at obviously facebook.com/WDW Radio. And of course, while I love connecting with you online, nothing beats a handshake and a hug. Our next meet of the month is going to be Saturday, February 22nd. That's over Princess Marathon weekend. I won't be running. I'll be out there cheering, but we'll also do a non-running. I promise there's no exercise involved in the meets of the month. Go to www.radio.com/events. I'll be sharing in the next day or two exactly when and where you can come to the meet of the month, whether you come alone, bring the whole family. It's fun, family-friendly, completely free, and it's a great way, again, to meet one another and exchange a handshake and a hug, because I'm a hugger. And also stay tuned for other meetups, not necessarily in Walt Disney World, but on the road as I travel to speak at conferences and to events. I'll be possibly doing a meetup in March in San Diego when I'm out speaking for Social Media Marketing World. And if you visit LouMongello.com, you can find out, one, how I can help to maybe speak at your conference or to your event or to your school, including lessons on customer service learned from Disney, social media, live video, podcasting, community, as well as including topics specifically crafted and geared towards your business, your industry, or even your school. I'd also love the opportunity to work with you individually or even small groups to help you turn what you love into what you do. I believe this idea of turning your passion into your profession with personal mentoring, group coaching, and live in-person events, including my Momentum Weekend Workshop in Walt Disney World this fall and my Momentum Weekend Retreat also in Walt Disney World this summer. The retreat is June 12th through the 14th, and the weekend workshop is going to be October 17th and 18th with an optional 10-person Mastermind Monday. I'll have more details as well as a link to special early bird pricing. I will be releasing tickets this week, and the events have and will sell out once again. Again, the retreat is June 12th through the 14th. The weekend workshop is October 17th to 18th. For more information, visit LouMongello.com. Thanks as always to Becky Mankin and the entire team over at MouseFan Travel. You know that they're not only my official and recommended travel provider, whether you're going to any Disney destination or any place on the planet, they will give you the best possible prices, all available discounts, all at no cost to you. I use them. I recommend them because it's who I trust, which is why I share that with you. You can find them over at mousefantravel.com. And as always, my friend, and you are my friend, whether we have met yet or not, again, all I ask that if you like the show, please continue to help spread the word, let others know about it, tweet out that you're listening, share on Facebook. Now this week you have a chance to win $100 in Disney gift cards. And if you can, just out of the goodness of your heart, please take a couple minutes to rate and review the show over in iTunes. Every single review matters. I want to thank some of the recent reviewers like Serena Morph, who says, totally checking out The Wave. Lou, thank you for doing the review of The Wave. My family and I are going to check out Late Night after a day in Magic Kingdom. Looking forward to doing it on our upcoming trip in 2020. Always listening. The Japan review is incredible. Oh, I love Japan. And I love The Wave, too. Go for breakfast also. Cincy Disney Teach says, I have this feeling of belonging. I used to try and hide my obsession with all things Disney, but after finding the community Lou has created, actually you guys created it, I have felt more myself and free to express my obsession than ever before. His excitement and kindness exude from each and every episode, especially about the food. She says, he definitely makes you feel like you've been friends for years, even if you've never met. I never knew how many people were like me until I ran across the podcast. It always makes me feel like I'm sitting around the table with him, and each episode helps me get through the time between my trips. Cincy Disney Teach, that's exactly how I want you to feel. Alina T64 says, I love WDW Radio. Such a good podcast. So much information for the biggest Disney fans. I've learned so many cool things. Also, the food reviews are so good, and I've tried a few of the places on my last trip, and they did not disappoint. I love listening to the new episodes and going back and listening to the older ones. I started listening around episode 550, and I'm slowly making my way through them all, which is super easy because the topics don't repeat. Never have, never will, by the way. Can't wait for the future of WDW Radio. And DWK the Second says it's a great podcast. WDW Radio is one of the best Disney podcasts out there, especially from an infotainment perspective. Lou has a wealth of knowledge about the Disney parks, and he shares that information freely. Definitely a must-listen to for any fan of the Walt Disney World resorts and the restaurants therein. So DWK the Second, as well as Cincy Disney Teach, Alina T64, and Serena Morph. Thank you guys so very much for taking the time to rate and review the show. Again, just search for WDW Radio in iTunes, or if you go to www.radio.com/iTunes, I give you a link and instructions exactly how and where to do it. I can't tell you, when I read these on the show, this is really the first time that I'm reading through them, what they mean to me and what you mean to me. And when I say you, I mean you individually as well as you collectively as a community. You know, I talked last week about making a positive difference in the world. You have made such a positive difference in my life, and I think the lives of the people who are part of this WDW Radio. Again, it's more than community, it's family. And I was thinking a lot about you, like not in a weird way, but you and what this all means to me and what you mean to me. And this is a time of year for me that's busier in terms of speaking, where I go to a lot of events or speak to groups or even students, and I hear a lot of people talking about, it's all about the numbers, it's about the growth, it's about, you know, measuring from vanity metrics, and I try and explain that that's not, you know, who I am or what I care about. I believe in focusing on the people who are already there, and I don't want to do or try to or expect to be all things to all people, right? It's not about having everybody in the community. It's about having the right people in the community. And I think that we're all magnets for the kind of people that we want to attract, right? That's why the Facebook community is so important, and it's close and it's strong, and it's because of you, because I think we're all alike. And I realize how some of the things, really all the things I do in my life, are so deliberate and so intentional in terms of the choices and the way I do look at things, right? So even, for example, on the show and the way I approach Disney, right? I love this place. Why? Like, it still makes me happy, right? I talk about the things on the show that make me happy and hopefully make you happy as well. And yeah, maybe I'm a glass half full, always look on the bright side of life kind of guy, but isn't that what it's all about, right? So, and maybe that's not for everybody. Maybe that's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's totally cool, right? Because I realized that I choose the good, right? Not just in Disney, but in everything I do, right? Does that make sense? Like, if I go to a movie, if I go to a show, if it's something I spend money on to enjoy myself, why not try and find the good in it? Like, even if something's not perfect, right? Nothing is perfect. Disney's not perfect. Not every movie is perfect. Not every meal is perfect. But I choose to find the good, right? I find the good. And I hope you choose the good. And it doesn't mean that I'm blind or ignorant to that everything is not perfect, right? I get it and I understand it, but I choose to see the good, especially if there's something that I'm specifically going out to try and enjoy. Why would I try and focus on the negative parts of it? And I will tell you, like, making that conscious, maybe subconscious, deliberate choice that I made many years ago to sort of approach things that way has had a profound impact on me. Like, I'm happier, I'm more content, I have this sense of joy and wonder and fun in everything I do, and I don't know why I'm telling you this or sharing this other than the fact that I want you to feel that way too. So I hope you do, like, go out and approach things. I hope you do choose the good. And I guess I never realized it is my internal monologue and silent mantra that I feel. And maybe if you try it, you might be just a little bit happier as well. And that's why I do this show. That's why I share what I share at the end. And that's why I want to help you any way I can. So hashtag, right? Choose the good. Choose the good this week. And then let me know how that might impact and affect you. Thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. So until next time.
Hey, Lou, it's Julie Gavada from Spring, Texas. Just wanted to give you a quick call and let you know what my top experiences are that I'm looking forward to for 2020. But first off, I just wanted to drop this in your voicemail. Listening to episode 575 with you and Becky, I love the nightlife. I love to boogie. Of course, that is Alicia Bridges and Love at First Bite, and that was such a great memory for me. And my dad and watching George Hamilton is just amazing. I knew exactly where you were going with that. But anyway, my top five for 2020 is I am so looking forward to Drawn to Life. I'm excited about Mickey's Runaway Railway. I'm super excited, if this makes it into the 2020 year, to ride Tron. But the two biggest things that I'm looking forward to for 2020 is that my son and I are going to be moving down sometime this summer for him to start high school. And being that we're on episode 575, after listening to countless podcasts, when I listened to a couple of the milestone podcasts like 400, 500, 300, it was such an exciting episode and such a milestone, and it dawned on me that I could potentially be in Orlando when you are doing potentially something to commemorate episode 600. So those are my top things that I'm looking forward to 2020. I hope everyone has a great week. It's Friday. For me, it's Friday and it's the weekend, so looking forward to a relaxing weekend and just doing some things. But anyway, just wanted to call and leave that information with you and hope everyone's doing well. Look forward to hopefully seeing people at the end of the month in February. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, Lou. It's Christine Morrison from Flowertown, PA. I'm listening to episode 33. I am almost done. It's you and Jeff Pepper. And it's a couple shows away from the 25th anniversary of Epcot, and you guys are talking about Epcot today versus its original concept by Walt, and whether purists, really don't want any of the franchise movies in the pavilions, and it takes away from the original concept. And like Nemo and Friends and Frozen and Soarin' and, does all of that really fit into Epcot's vision? And I think that the answer is in what we always talk about is everything's constantly evolving at Disney, and it has to evolve with the guests. And in order to get all those young people to appreciate Epcot, I think it was a brilliant idea to incorporate some of the movies into the pavilions, because that gets the younger kids and the younger generation in there learning, because they're learning no matter what. You cannot walk through Epcot without learning something, whether you want to or not. You try your hardest not to learn something, and you tell me if you were successful. No matter what, you'll walk through Epcot or World Showcase and you will come out of there learning something. So I don't think the movies take away from that. I think they enhance it and add to the excitement for everybody. I love Epcot. It is I want to say it's my favorite park, but then I think about all the others and they're all my favorite parks. I love them all for different reasons. I think what's happening with Epcot is very, very exciting. I'm so psyched to see where it goes. And it's so much fun listening back to your episodes and all of your guys' predictions as to what the future would hold. And it's amazing that there's no way you could ever have imagined where we would be at 12 years later from that episode. But take care, everybody. Have a wonderful week. It's Wednesday afternoon. See you guys in the box. Make somebody smile. Bye.
Good morning, Lou. This is Kenny D. from beautiful Marysville, Michigan. Today I'm calling you from the Walt Disney World Resort. We met back in April 2016 at Epcot at the Star Wars Dark Side Marathon Weekend. Of course, handshake and a hug. But today I wanted to call and tell you about what I did yesterday here at the Walt Disney World Resort. There is no race weekend currently going on, but I made my own race weekend. Normally I do all the virtual Star Wars Run Disney events at home or, somewhere closer to home. This year, did it here at the resort. So, about yesterday morning, about 5 a.m., got up from our hotel room here at the All-Star Movie Resort, ran to All-Star Music, ran to All-Star Sports, went up the road, past Blizzard Beach, past Winter Summerland, mini golf, over to Coronado Springs, behind Grand Destino Tower, across all the bridges, and got on a bus going over to Hollywood Studios. And then from there, ran along the water, ran back to the Swan and Dolphin to the boardwalk, ran all the way up to the Skyliner Gateway up against the entrance to Epcot. Did a few laps around the boardwalk, actually, as other runners were starting to join in, and kind of just came back. And by the time I made it back to Hollywood Studios, I was at 13.1, so I completed my 2020 Star Wars Virtual Half Marathon at the parks, and then after that, slowly walked to Ohana for waffles. Now, it's an accomplishment. I'm very happy with the way it turned out, but the real winner, my pregnant wife, who slept the whole time in the hotel room. Have a great day, everyone. Lou, keep up the great job. Love the podcast. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Hello, Lou Mangello. It's Darlene Yagi, formerly of West Seneca, New York, and I'm sitting outside on a beautiful day after the cold spell we had. It's about 70 degrees probably, and it's just got a nice breeze and sunshine. And I'm calling in to say you have 178 days until the ADD Wyoming trip. That's going to be so much fun, and about 2 weeks until that cruise out of New Orleans. You guys got a lot going on, and then we have the Princess Weekend coming up in February, and Star Wars half marathon coming up in April that I'm doing the 5K. So I cannot wait for all these new adventures coming on, and can't wait for the meat of the month to be full force for 2020. We're almost close to February. Have a wonderful, magical day, and stay positive like Lou always says. Love and hugs, everyone.